Good evening. Sorry that I was embroiled in information research. My name is Sarah Scanlon, and I'm here now to talk to you about something that actually ties us all together in one beautifully bowed package. And that is the work that we're doing right now to raise the minimum wage in Arkansas. Now, there's a lot of written information in your packets about where the wage is currently. But how many of you, if you've read it, great, but how many of you know that Arkansas's minimum wage is actually one of the very few states that's lower than the federal minimum wage? Now, how many of you believe that's right? Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Come on, tell me. It's a bad thing, right? How many of you know people who actually make, let's just talk the federal minimum wage, less than the federal minimum wage? And do you know what that is right now? $7.25 an hour. That's what the federal government says is the standard for the basement, basically. The floor as opposed to the ceiling. In Arkansas, we're in the subfloor. We're below the subfloor. We're basically in the basement. Right? It's $6.25, which is okay probably in 2005, which was the last time the minimum wage was raised in this state. In 2005, we said that should be the base. That was probably low at that time. Right? I was just asked by John when the wage was raised, and I told him 2005 by a vote of the legislature, but it just kicked something for me. In 2005, I was in Arkansas. I just asked to come back to Arkansas to work on the confirmation process for Sam Alito, Supreme Court Justice Alito. I was asked to come in and see what I could do about getting Senator Lincoln at that time and Senator Pryor to vote against him. I was based out of the Arkansas Policy Manual's offices in Little Rock. Bernadette said to me earlier, "You look familiar." She couldn't place where she'd known me from, but the last time she and I knew each other, the same argument was taking place. Now, let me ask you this. Why do you think we're doing this? Besides the reality that the wage is way too low and we can't expect people to live on it. Why do you think we're doing it? Anybody? Yeah.
Because our Congress refuses to raise the minimum wage, so the president has had to go through various other means to get people to raise the minimum wage.
That's right. That's part of the reason. In Arkansas, even the state has actually said they've had bills before them every session to talk about raising the wage, and they've said they don't have the reason, or they don't have the impetus to do it. Nobody wants to have it done, so there's really no reason to act. Now, they can say that, but the reality is far different. Part of the reason that we're doing this, though, is an old saying. It goes like this: a rising tide lifts all boats. A rising tide lifts all boats. Now, I know there are people in this room that make more than the minimum wage. And I know that there are people in this room that make between what the minimum wage on the federal level is and what they think a living wage is. Now, our hope is that while $7.25, which is the base for the minimum wage, and getting to $8.50 in 2 years, $8.50 an hour, may not directly impact a lot of people. In fact, the estimation is 7.3% of the people that actually work in the service industry, based on the Pew report. So that's 7.3% of the people that work in the service industry in Arkansas is really not a huge amount. But when you think about this, if a rising tide lifts all boats, then what we're actually doing is forcing people to recognize that even though you don't make the minimum wage, you better start lifting wages. You better start thinking about how you're going to pay people above the minimum wage. And until we lift those tides, they're not going to do it on their own, because they're getting what they can get. This fight is not only about, and this effort is not only about raising the minimum wage, but it's about calling out inequality. It's about recognizing that there is a vast difference between the haves and the have-nots, right? And in Arkansas, we have very, very few haves and a whole bunch of have-nots. And we got to do something about that. So that's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's about recognizing that and working beyond it. And so between now and the middle of summer, we got to find 62,000 people plus some change that agree with us. 62,000 people who sign on to the initiative to help us, we're not going to get there. We want to find more people like yourselves who actually can help us by talking to their friends and their neighbors and helping spread the message about the need of raising the minimum wage and what effect that can have on everybody's income, even those that don't make it, even those that are lucky to have an income above that. It still helps those that aren't there, right? So let me give you some information too that you may not know. How many of you believe that the other people that make minimum wage are people that are kids that are 17 years old, fresh out of high school, trying to find their first job? Oh, see, you're a much well-educated group. You're a much better educated group than the average voter in this state. What is true is that a majority of the people that actually make minimum wage in our fair state are actually women who have to support others in their household. Right? And interestingly enough, those same people qualify for the private option. They qualify for the private option. And they need that private option in place. Right? Now, the reality is if we could get the 99% to vote, we wouldn't have to worry about what 1% do. We just have to make sure that people understand that we're not talking about just raising a wage. We're talking about helping each other. And again, and a good friend of mine, and the guy that I call my mentor, a man who passed away more than 10 years ago, unfortunately, a man by the name of Paul Wellstone, said that when we do better, we all do better. When we do better, we all do better. And that's why we're doing this, is to actually level the playing field, give people more, because if you work hard and you play by the rules, you deserve a fair compensation. And that's why we're doing this. Do you agree with me? Yes. Good, because we need your help. And we can't do it alone. So at the end of this whole effort, if you have questions, I'd love to answer them. But more importantly, we need you to sign up over here because you're the only way we can do this. All right? Thank you very much.